Nanjitahun chores, Adeline, Juneby-Potts, Eagle Village on Isha, Shichat, Willie Juneby, Shana, Louise Juneby. My birth date is April 6, 1946. My dad is a Hankwichin from Eagle, and my mom's from Moose Height, a few miles down from Dawson. And they met, and later on, after they got married, they moved to Eagle and made their life in Eagle, and then Coal Creek and Woodchopper, gold mining camp. It was a nice community. A lot of miners living there. And then my dad trained himself to run a cat. From there, he got hired as a cat operator. There's a dredge there, sluice box, and we live at a mining camp during the summer. And then during the winter, my dad moved us up Snare Creek, like 2 miles up Snare Creek to the trap line. And he'd be gone for like 3-4 days, checking the trap line, and my mom would stay home with the rest of us, and that was our life. I didn't know English till I started learning English when I was 7 years old. Chores, Kakat. My Indian name is Kakat. My mom, she told me to go get some soap next door. I didn't have a name for it, and I didn't know English, so I made up a name, and they called me Cut since then. There's 11 of us, but we were not all home at the same time. My sister got married, and then she had her own family, and my 2 oldest brothers went to Wrangell and Mount Edgecombe, so my mom had like 4 of us home. And we all had chores to do, packing wood and help with the dogs, feed them. We had a radio there, you know, the big box radio they used to have. And I remember my mom listening to it all the time, but it was in English. She knew English, my dad did too. But they spoke mostly Han, and they had to translate things to us. I remember the word my mom, with her firm, she'd tell us, "Tadenai," you know, be quiet, quit squabbling, you know. And we know where her switch was, and manners, you know, they were teaching us that. We had a lot of respect for our parents back then too. We were not to ever talk back, but they use a lot of tadenai. Aunt, go outside, you know. Aunt is go away, go out. We played outside. We go sledding down a little hill while she's busy in the house. She spent a lot of time cooking for us. But we learned by watching what they did, and as little kids we asked questions. Why are you cutting up that moose head, you know? Because you make good soup out of it. So we learned by watching my mom how she did beadwork, and she made all our mucklucks and our parkas and gloves. Tanning a moose hide is a 2-woman job. And the sinew, you can't just take it apart and look around. You got to really be careful, the sinew, and it's still kind of wet, and I watched my mom do that. And also babiche, they use that to make snowshoes, you know. When my dad would come home from the trap line, and maybe we're running out of meat, you know, the first thing my mom would check his clothes to see if he had blood on him. Then she know he got some caribou or something. And he caught a lot of marten and wolves, wolverine. And he sold those furs. But I remember my mom always reading this book. And then her and my dad would talk about Tauta Che. I think that kind of means He watches over everything. She was reading the Bible back then. You know, she was teaching us out of that, how to have respect. Old timers, they called it eagle. Back in the old days, they saw an eagle flying over Eagle Bluff. That's what I remember somebody telling me. And then right down below Eagle Bluff, where the river comes down from the village, they called it Line. Means the river that comes that way, kind of go off course and come back, something like that. Line. My parents always stressed that we need education. They saw the importance of getting education. That's the reason we went to Eagle, is because they're starting up the school. And my dad had a dog team, so he sent my mom with the dogs and a couple kids on the plane. Wien Airlines. The rest of us, Horace Biederman came down, put my sister and I on the boat with them, and we went up there, and I was 7, she was 9. When we got to Eagle, school started in August. It's a one-room cabin with like 20 of us, maybe 30. I'm just used to being around my family all the time. All of a sudden, boom, there they are, you know, all these kids. But we learned to get along with them. They were nice. Those kids were teaching us a lot of things. Come with us and let's play English. And then they would have to say it in the Han to let us know what they're talking about. Ani, intruto hor. Ani means come here, we're playing. Yeah. I remember the first time I saw a coaster from Sears and Roebuck. One of the kids in the village pulling a coaster. It's a sled with runners, a little sled you pull each other on. And all of a sudden I understood everything they were saying when they spoke English. We lived 3 miles from the Eagle City. It's a white community, so we grew up with their kids and they grew up with us. So we had a good big community like in the Eagle back then. There were some lean times, but we made it. We know how to fish, we know how to hunt, we know how to pick berries. But I remember a fish wheel, and we all had to work together. Our job, keep the smoke going and gather the wood along the bank, and we also go down to the river and wash off the fish. And the older guys would hang up the fish for us. We had to dry our food. We didn't have refrigeration or freezer, but we ate a lot of fish, I'll tell you. I went up to about, I think, 8th grade. I was still learning English. I was self-conscious about how I talk growing up. And when I was just turned 13, Chemawa Indian School in Oregon, they sent a whole bunch of us down there, Alaskan natives, to a boarding school. We got down there to Chemawa Indian School, and they did a test on us, and I wasn't ready. Besides, I was still learning English. I didn't talk very much. I was shy because I was afraid I'll make a mistake. And it was a culture shock because it was different. But I stuck it out, and I started to build myself up. And I have a couple of good friends that helped me. And I was in a choir, beginning choir, and They started the first girls basketball team. We played basketball for the rest of the high school years. I think we did pretty good. We got involved in all kinds of things, dances, and taught us how to cook. And I took like 3 years of home ec. I took math about 2-3 years, and it turned out I was really good in English. My spelling test. And we all had to go out and work in homes on Saturdays. Cleaning house, we learned how to, in home ec, how to do the windows with water and vinegar. We didn't have money, so we probably worked for 75 cents an hour. Earned some money. We had to be on time. We get 3 demerits in 1 week. We're not allowed to go to the dances and movies. Good discipline they taught us. Every Sunday we had to go to church of our choice down in Salem, or and then they had classes for us on the campus. And my parents encouraged us to get education, so we went off with their blessings. I've been there 6 years. And then I graduated from high school in 1967. It was a good day. 200 of students from Arizona, New Mexico, and Alaska graduated. Over 200 of us. That was a big day for us. And I was very thankful to this day that what they taught me in that school got me where I am now. I can live both culture. Chamawa Indian School. It was a vocational school too. They train the students and send them out on a job placement. Training a licensed practical nurse, some of them secretary school. And a lot of my friends went out to do cooking, chef. And I went down to California and I was in a nursing school. By that time, the hippie scene came in 1967, 68. We were hippie wannabes. We were pretty young. From there, I worked in therapist assistant. I found my way up to Seattle where my uncle lives, and I work in a convalescent hospital. Then I found myself being drawn into the party scene. Yeah, but I kept working at that convalescent. Well, unfortunately, my first marriage didn't work. Drinking was getting the best of me. And then I met Mike several years before. He lived in Eagle. He came from Des Moines, Iowa, and he had his driver's license 2 days and started driving north. He wanted to trap. And he lived in the village. He was a neighbor to my parents and my mom and dad. The village liked him, you know, and my mom really loved him. And well, Mike, I said, you're kind of like us. Why don't you marry me? Well, let's get married. He's kind of funny. He was 4 years younger than me. And so he said, I was taught to respect my elders, so I said, yes, ma'am. And he always wanted to marry an Indian woman, and he got one. I met him in 1971, and so it wasn't easy. I had to get used to this guy who was independent. He's a bushman, and he had to get used to me. And I had a drinking problem, and it was tough to where I had no hope. We had 3 kids. Yeah. We took in another one, my nephew. His parents died, my sister's son. We moved to Wyoming, just a change of life. Encampment, Wyoming. We went down there to log, horse logging, and live out in the tent camp during the summer. And we had that house trailer to live in during the winter so the kids could go to school. It took me like 4 or 5 years. I saw myself changing. I saw that what I was doing to the family. My husband supported me. And my husband and I both grew together. You gotta admit you have the problem. That's hard to do. You don't want to admit you were in the wrong or did this. And then the forgiveness. Forgive yourself, forgive other people who done you wrong. And then we moved back to Eagle. There's a health aides. I worked as an alternate health aide for 11 years. And then I did some work for the village too, administrative assistant. And then he was a logger. We had horses. We buy timber from the corporation or different places and build our own house. And he sold lumber and cabin kits. We had like a farm in Eagle. We had chickens, we had a milk goat, and dogs, dog team. We were always busy. Our kids, we raised them up hunting and fishing and a lot of caribou. Sometimes there's a big herd of them coming. We had enough to get by, pretty healthy. Being active all the time kept us out of trouble. My husband, he's been ordained, so they need a pastor in the native village of Copper Center. They asked us, so we moved up there for 6.5 years for missionary work. And then my husband read an article about Mongolia on National Geographic. They're nomads, they move their animals with the season. And he said, wow, this is where I like to go. They're horse people. We're horse people, you know, we had horses all our life raising our kids. We went over there as missionary. With my health aid training, I had to stitch up a few wounds and burned patient. They called me Digit Inch, little doctor. You pick up the language, listen really close. Some of the words were very similar in Mongolia. One time I saw one of our sons, we adopt a lot of sons over there. He picked up a little kid and I'm sitting there talking to him. And he picked that little kid up and he said, Abba! That word is same as us when you're kind of putting stress in strenuous something, Abba. And then they would say Nashur, means Nashi, means come here. Some of the words were very similar. Me being American Indian, I was a big hit. I looked like them, and we built a relationship just living with them. We moved right in the middle. They're very hospitable people. Those Mongolians who share their last piece of bread with you. Pretty soon I fell in love with the people. They were so giving, the women were so nice. I just enjoyed it. We were there 7 years. And then Jody came over for 1.5 years, taught English there, and she brought my grandkids. And the little boy, he's a baby. Those 3 kids learned Mongolia in 3 months. That was the most exciting time of my life. I still do beadwork. I make mucklucks too, and slippers, and I teach a class here and there. I enjoy doing it. I remember 4th of July was a big deal. It still is up in the Eagle. There's good history and beautiful scenery. We lost our first house in 1979 along the Yukon to a flood. And then we rebuilt further back, higher ground. That went out in 2011, 10, I think. We rebuilt the village. As for learning the language, you can do it. It's never too late. You see us laughing because there's humor in it. It's exciting to be a part of that. The young people today, I'm a miracle sitting here talking to you guys. It was a tough life, getting addicted. I never ever wanted to feel like that again. It's been 32 years this year that I've been sober. I got a good life now. I know the Lord. I'm a missionary. I'm really enjoying my grandkids. If I can do it, if my brother Isaac Juneby could do it, you can do it. It's never too late. Keep going forward. That's what I did. Just get busy with doing what you like to do, you know, just like me. I'm in this cartoon, Molly of Denali. It's the first Native American cartoon. They needed some 70-year-old Auntie Midge. I got the part. And just the everyday village life. I'm the chief too in that village. I'm a busybody little old lady in that my character. They're going to learn about our people up here. The whole world's going to see it. It's from 2 Street to this, I call it. And I live a good life now.